Alright, so today's video is going to be about rocket stoves. I'm going to be building a rocket stove. You see I got two of them laid out here. This one's not complete yet, so there's going to be another video about this one here soon. This is actually the first one I started building. I'm going off of Justin Voss's plans that he had for this. That's how I'm building this one. I can't complete that yet because I can't find the insulation that I need for it locally. So I may have to make Jeff Bezos a little bit richer and have him send his slaves to drop some of that insulation off on my front porch. So that got put aside for now. We're going to be talking about this one today and how I made it, I guess, and then you can see it get used. What this is pretty much is it's a stove that you cook on. You can heat water on it too, I guess. But pretty much air gets sucked through this bottom port here. You feed in fuel for your fire through this pipe, and then right in this area you have the fire, and then the heat comes up the exhaust and out onto your cooktop. This one's fairly simple. I had plans for the ammo box one, but this one I did not have plans for. I just saw what other people were building, and I made my own. You'll see I didn't cut it at the right height to begin with, so it had to get shortened. Mistakes happen. That's a part of life, and if you're welding and stuff, you're going to make a lot of mistakes throughout your life. So yeah, let's get into this video here. Alright, so on this one, I don't have plans for this one, so I'm just making this one up as I go. I have a fixture table for this. You don't need it, but I'm going to use it because I have it. So these are the legs right now that I'm putting together. There's going to be two of these on each leg. And then one bar of these. This stove I'm making for myself. I think these legs are a little bit long, but that's okay because I'm pretty tall, so right now I'm just tacking this together. Then I'm going to flip this over, get the other leg on here, and just do one leg set at a time, and then I'll reconfigure the jig to put the legs together. So the way I have this set up is there's fence blocks on the outside to make sure the legs are square, and then I set up a fence block on the bottom to make sure that they can be wider, but they're not going to be any taller than each other. I'm not too concerned about the width being messed up, but I'm going to try to keep them the same height, if that makes sense. Like, in other words, I don't have a dimensional drawing for the width, so if these corners don't fit up perfectly, the way I have my fence blocks set up, it's not going to be all cattywampus when you sit on this thing. It's going to be, it's not going to be like all cattywampus when you're putting this on a level ground. It's it might be a bit wider than it needs to be, but that's not a big deal for me. So that's the benefit of a fixture table, is you can get, if I was building a whole bunch of parts like this, I could build these out all day long and work them out exactly the same, or at least they're within spec. So I'll set this one down over here for now. And the reason why I'm able to flip this over like I am and not have it be all weird is because of those shims that I have keeping this lifted up off the table. If I didn't have them, I would have to grind them packs flush before I could set it on the table like this. Now I got to reconfigure this table a bit here. Alright, so this is the framework. It wasn't that hard to set up this jig. Just set everything up in a line this way. I measured one of the centers. This one is directly in the center of that piece. This one's a little bit long, but it doesn't matter. I mean, nobody's gonna, it's like a 1/16 of an inch. Nobody's gonna notice. Plus, like I said, this one's mine, so I'm just gonna weld it. I didn't have enough 3/16 inch shims, but I stacked a whole bunch of other ones together, and we made this work. So that's what you don't want to happen. You want to try to ground to your piece when you're working on these fancy tables. Alright, so just like that, the legs are now packed together. So I can go ahead and just start pulling this apart and get it set up for the actual rocket stove. I'm not going to be ready to weld the actual rocket stove part of it yet. I do want to lay it out, and that way I can mark everything correctly. Okay, get this slides up and out of here. Get the shims off. Yeah, that's our leg set right there. And if I had enough shims and pieces here, then I could make 1,000 of these exactly the same. And like I said, it doesn't rock now. Alright, so this is essentially the structure that I am trying to build. I have to do some cutting on it before it is ready to weld. I think I just have to mark this thing here. And then this is the only piece I need to cut out, I think. So essentially what's going to happen is, you can feed your sticks into this piece or this piece, it doesn't really matter. And then, if you're feeding your sticks in here, your fire is going to be roughly right in this area. The air is going to come in through here, push your flames up through your exhaust, and I'm going to have this where your pot's going to be. I have these things here. I'm going to do something like this. Just weld them together. And then weld them up there for the pot. I think that's my idea. Yeah. Yeah, so right now I need to work on cutting this piece out. And I'll get this stuff welded together. Then I'm going to have to cap this back side here. Probably use the same, just one of the cutouts for the cap. And then when that's done and welded out, then I can attach it to the legs that I just made. Yeah, fairly simple. And then when that's done, then I'll work on the that piece. And yeah, that should be it for this one. This one is a lot simpler to make than the last one that the ammo can one. That ammo can one is fairly complex. This one here is fairly simple and straightforward. But this one has a lot more. Metal in it, whereas the ammo can one, it doesn't have that much metal in it, but it takes a lot longer to build. So that's why, price-wise, they might still be the same. I can set up jigs for this one too, whereas the ammo can one, I can have jigs for certain parts of it, but at the end of the day, it's just a lot of cutting and custom work. So yeah, I'll get this cut out, slap it in here, use the welding. Alright, so I have absolutely no clue where my camera died, but I got everything welded out on this. I got it all wire wheeled and cleaned up and stuff. And this is all welded out as well. I think I'm going to leave most of the welds on this one, make it kind of look cooler. But it's ready to go on here. It's just going to sit like this. I'm going to try to center it the best I can. And then, yeah, I'm going to weld it on here. And then I'm going to have a grab handle in the back. I still need to make that yet. This design, I mean, I kind of got inspired by quite a few different builds. So I kind of combined a lot of different ones in this. So I don't want to say it's the only one like this, but it is, I mean, there's not too many like this one. So that's about centered there. I'm going to throw a clamp on that, I think, and then try to get this other one centered. At the back side. But if I clamp it, then the front won't move as much. Right there. I'm going to weld this one out. Alright, so this thing is actually done now. Oh, yeah, I did forget the back yet. I mean, it could be usable. I mean, you don't really need the grab handle in the back, so I don't know. Might see what I got here. Let me just put that there. This is just some junk I had. Alright, so there we go. I would say that's a grab handle. Yeah, that's a rocket stove. So, yeah. Like I said, the sticks will go down here. Air comes through here. Lights. There's a fire in here. The air will come through. Push the flames up to your cooking pot. Oh no. Yeah, so the cooking pot, it's actually, I didn't really plan this at all. It's right at waist level for me. So hopefully that makes it pretty nice. I don't know, I might have to cut this down a little bit to, the pot might be too far from the fire. I don't know, I've never made one of these. So I guess I gotta test it out. Alright, so sorry about the wind noise, kind of in a wind tunnel. But yeah, it seems to work. I mean, I do think I need a door on the fuel port. And I think I definitely need to either shrink this a couple inches, or I need to get better at building fires in here. Probably a combination of both. You can see it's starting to. I put butter in the pan here, and it's starting to bring that to a bubble, but it took quite a while. So yeah, definitely some improvements need to be had on this stove, but it seems to be working. The other stove that I have cut out has shorter components. Pretty much every piece is shorter, so that's probably going to work better than this one. But yeah, I think on this one I may need to lower that probably a good 6 inches at least. I got this little thermometer thing here, and right there we're at about 300 degrees on the stack. Moving it up. The inside of the pan looks like it's about like 250 now, but it took a while to get there. And the meat looks like it's about 100 some degrees, but I don't know. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Sometimes when the wind gets whipping, the fire does come out of that side instead of where it's supposed to. So I was covering that up, making it go where it needed to go. But yeah, definitely a fuel door and shorter exhaust stack for sure. Alright, so it's daylight now, the next day. So I gotta cut this rocket stove down. Like I said last night, it's definitely too high. I thought somewhere around 6 inches needed to be removed. But I was doing some research, and there's another guy, I think he builds the Cajun smoke stoves. I think it was either him or his wife was on a blog post saying that they like to make their chimneys roughly 16 inches tall. That way it puts you in that sweet spot for the cooking. And this one was about 25 inches tall. So I definitely got to get down some. I think it's hard to say where they measured that 16 inches from. This design is a bit different than theirs. I don't know if they measured it from the top of this piece or the bottom or somewhere in the middle. But if you measure from the top of this piece to this line, and then add in this piece that I'm going to cut off, weld that back on, that'll get you somewhere within that range. I think it'd be maybe an inch too high, but it'd be close. And then if you measure it lower, somewhere near this line or slightly below it, would put you right in on that 16-inch mark. So I think if I cut somewhere in that area, and remove from here to here. That'll get me kind of close to where I need to be, and then I might need to chop this tube down because it might start looking pretty stupid here soon. But I do kind of like the length of this tube the way it is now, so I don't know, I might leave it. We'll see. So luckily I don't have to cut off my handle or anything. So yeah, let's see what happens. The next one of these I build, try to sell it. I'll definitely try to get better dimensions from the start. And like I said, everything on that stove is smaller anyway, except for the material. It made 4-inch material. I made a small one at first, and then I was like, oh, that's too small. I'll go bigger, you know? Yeah, I went bigger and taller, and it didn't work. I mean, it did. I made two cheeseburgers with it last night, but it's gotta get cut down here. All right, so as you can see, we took out some metal. This thing's a lot shorter now. I think that's the tube that I cut out of it. And yeah, it does look a little bit funky, I'm not gonna lie. You know, most people make their other two tubes accordingly to the exhaust. You know, like most people would cut this right around here or so, and then probably cut this one right around here, and then make smaller legs. But I think this is gonna work for me in my situation, you know. Honestly, I wish I could make taller legs. I probably could. Either that or just find a table or something to set this on. Yeah, I could probably just set it on the toolbox that I have out there, you know. Maybe move the fuel tank, that might be smart. But you know, that would put this thing at a good height to cook on. It's a bit lower. I don't think it's too low that it's detrimental if this thing was on the ground. But yeah, I guess we'll see how it works now. Probably cook something else on it tonight. I just pretty much welded that. It maybe not be 100% perfect, but it's a stove exhaust, you know, it's not really gonna matter. I'll probably just leave that weld there on mine. And if I try to sell any, you know, I'm not gonna have problems like this arise, hopefully, where I have to shorten them. So it shouldn't be a worry. Since this is my stove, I don't really care too much how it looks. I'm just trying to get it to function, and then I can see what's needed and what's not needed. Because there's a lot of stuff out on the internet with these. You know, you look at some designs, and you know, they're like off the chains, like got all sorts of fancy stuff. And you look at other ones, and they're like a pipe and another pipe, and they work. So I don't know. I think functionally, this, you know, there's probably better ones out there than this style. Like if you're cooking all day, every day on one of these things, like cooking 3 meals a day, even just for yourself, you know, having some of them extra things, like I said, the fuel door, damper, and an ashtray would probably be pretty good to have. If you're just an occasional cooker like myself, you know, you don't maybe need all them extra things. And you know, if you're just leaving this at like a cabin or something that you visit one weekend every 3-4 months or so, you know, this would probably be okay too. you know. So I don't know. We'll see how it works, and then I guess I'll give you my final thoughts on this one. All right, so here we go. I made a low budget fuel door. I had both the hinge and the angle already. So yeah, didn't really cost anything to make that. It's not the best fuel door. I mean, there's an air gap in it, but essentially what you're trying to do is just you know, make it harder for the air to shoot back out this way. If it still allows air to suck in that way, it's still okay. You just want to make it so the chimney is the easiest escape route for the air that's getting heated up inside of this thing. You know, I might make another one for here. I don't know. We'll see. Guess we'll get cooking on it. Alright, so I lowered that exhaust stack a little bit. I put that fuel door on it. Forgot to put a handle on, so it gets kind of hot. Yeah, it seems to be a lot better height now. I mean, you can actually see there's times where the flames are actually hitting this pan. So that's a lot better than it was. I pretty much just have a bunch of cardboard in there right now, and I'm trying to get these pieces of wood to light, so I can get the wet, snowed on firewood to light as well. But we're not here to judge my cooking skills, you know. We're here for this, the exhaust stack height. The flame was just hitting the pan there. So it's definitely a lot better than it was. I think once I get this wood to light, it'll be good. So I'm reheating a burrito here. And I was actually about to cook some hamburger meat. See how that goes. Alright, so I was able to heat up that burrito. I ended up laying it right there in the little crook there. That worked out perfectly for reheating that burrito. And I got this 2 pounds of hamburger meat in this little pot. Probably not the best choice. Probably should have only done 1 pound, but I had no clue what I was getting into. I don't cook that well. If you want to watch this for the cooking aspect of it, you're in the wrong place. You know, you might want to watch Rachel Ray for that. But I was able to cook the blood or grease or whatever out of that. So I gotta keep stirring it and probably just use the grease, just dump it right down the exhaust. Honestly, that's what I did with the hamburgers I made the other night. So yeah, it seems to be working. I got a little temp gun out here. Looks like the meat's on the top side is only at like 88 to 100. The pan, I'm trying to hit the handle of the pan. The handle of the pan is somewhere around at like 200-300 degrees, maybe a little bit more. So it's looks like it works. I found that I had some little strips of wood from the shipping crate that I sent stuff to Fireball Tooling. So that seems to be the best fuel for this currently. because all my firewood is soaked in snow. Not the best cooking wood currently, so I'm using what I got. So yeah, keep making this and see how it goes. Alright, so we're back in the shop. It's the next day. I made 2 pounds of hamburger meat with this last night, and it worked. Once I started feeding it dry wood, I had 2 of these, and then some really wet, damp firewood that had snow and ice on it. But I think if I would have had another board of this, if I would have fed it another one of these and not used the wet firewood, it would have been a lot better. This thing works. I honestly wasn't sure what to expect when I made this, honestly, but I really like this for cooking. It's not as fast as cooking with your electric house stove, but I think this is a more fun way to do it, and the food actually came out way better. I don't know if it's the pan or the butter that I put in the pan or what, but the food came out way better than when I cook on the house stove. I'm not an expert cook. I didn't even know how to make eggs until I was 30. So, don't come to me with trying to get cooking advice. I'm not the best person for that. But I think I'm going to start cooking a lot more with this stove. The whole point of this was to make cooking more fun so I can not eat out as much. And I think it's going to do that for me. The height of this stack now is right where it needs to be, I think. It's not super low either with the legs that I have on it. It was at a good height, even with having to cut off that 9 inches or so. Fuel door is definitely necessary, I think, to get a good fire inside of here. And yeah, the legs I think are a bit heavier than what they should be, but the material that I had for this, it was just drops from a bigger job that I had about a year ago. So I already had the steel. I didn't spend the money on it. You saw the handle that I picked up. That was that was drops from handrails that I've done over the years. And then the fuel door here isn't the best looking one out there. But again, that was also a drop that I had for some reason or another. And then the hinge I've had in the truck in case I needed one. But I haven't had to use that hinge style in the 3-4 years that I've had it. So I just chose to stick it on here. Probably not the best hinge for this because it separates like that, but it worked. So for my personal stove, that's okay. I can deal with this. But I think I'm gonna have a better hinge system if I choose to sell these. And yeah, like I said, if you're cooking all day, every day, it'd be nice to have an ash pan. But this style of build, there's really no way to put an ash pan in there, like the way the boxes come together. You don't need one if you're, like, you don't need one on a rocket stove, especially if you don't cook all that often, like me. You know, by the time you're done cooking, chances are, you know, you can just let that fire go out, and then once the fire is somewhat out, you can dump the ashes, or if you have another fire going, like at a campsite, then you can just dump the hot ashes into your other fire. It's not that big of a deal. You know, like if you're an Amish woman trying to cook for 9-10 people, 3 meals a day, you're probably going to want an ash pan. You know, if you're cooking for a party or something, you probably would want the ash pan. But like I said, for a camping stove, or just, you know, trying to cook for 1 or 2 people, maybe once, twice a week or so, this will work. It's definitely a fun way to cook. So, yeah, if you're interested in rocket stoves, in the future, I might start to build some and sell them. So maybe check out the description if you're watching this video, maybe 6 months from the time it came out. I may have a link to buy some. And, you know, if you want to build your own, I would say go for it. You know, you can build this style stove with any welder that you may have, whether that be MIG, TIG, stick, or flux core. Probably even one of them laser welders, I guess. You know, it doesn't matter. If you have a welder, you can build this. The tubing is pretty hard to cut if you don't have the correct saw. I know my chop saw, I need to notch out around the blade guard to be able to cut these angled cuts, because the tube will hit the guard on the blade when I'm cutting the 45-degree angles. It didn't hit on the straight cuts, so yeah. But you can cut them with an angle grinder if that's all you had. Yeah, it's fairly simple, and you know, you can check out this stove, other stoves, you know, come up with all sorts of different ideas to build your own stove, and then, you know, just combine them all. I mean, that's kind of what I did. Like the body of this is kind of inspired by the Minuteman K stove. The top of it is just some random design I saw online, and, you know, I just took the material that I was cutting for this. I cut out 8 more inches of material and made a very simple pot holder. And if I want to put other attachments on it, you know, I can build the attachment to fit over this whole square ordeal. I know, you know, the Cajun Smoke Company, you know, those guys have like removable things that remove on the 4-inch tube, whereas mine, if I do need attachments, you know, it's going to be over top of this on my personal stove. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I got to refine this idea to be able to produce more stoves to sell. This is pretty I don't think anyone would buy this for more than like $30. The one that I have here. So yeah, I'm not selling this one. But if I do build these to sell, I may have a different styles of things that I do. If you're building one for yourself and you don't cook all that much, this will work for you, I think. And it is a fun way to cook. So I don't know what else I can say about this, other than if you want to build one, get out and do it, man. The only person stopping you is you.